Welcome to the Wellness Abundance Podcast. I'm Melissa King, your podcast host, certified master health coach, certified personal trainer, and founder of Wellness Abundance Coaching. The purpose of this podcast is to share healthy lifestyle tips to empower you to design the abundant life you want and deserve. I'll chat with inspiring people who have built a strong foundation to build a life they love. I believe we all have the power within ourselves to create wellness abundance in all areas of our life. We simply need to find the courage within ourselves to take action. Our vision for this podcast is to help you create wellness abundance in your life with clarity, empowerment, and flexibility. Grab your favorite beverage and enjoy the episode. My guest today is my friend, Corrin Fox of Corrin Fox Fit. Corrin is a certified yoga instructor and certified personal trainer. During our conversation, we talked about the positive impact of movement on your mind, how to move your body in an authentic way, the benefits of practicing yoga, and more. Corrin shares some great tips in this episode to learn how to be more present in the moment. Corrin was so gracious during this episode to share her personal health journey and really what inspired her to move into, no pun intended, the health and wellness space. Corrin is one of the kindest, sweetest women I know, and I'm so grateful to have her as a guest on our podcast. So I really enjoyed my conversation with Corrin, and I hope you do as well. Welcome back to the Wellness Abundance Podcast. I am so excited to have my friend Corrin Fox on the podcast today. Hi, Corrin.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. I'm happy to have you. So Corrin and I have known each other for almost 7 years now, and
That's right.
our husbands worked together, and then I worked with Corrin's husband. Just a little brief background. And Corrin and I just connected. We're both into health and wellness and fitness. And so we kind of had an instant connection. And Corrin is amazing. She's an amazing person.
Oh my gosh.
And just
You're so
has
sweet.
such a great, like, calming energy. She's very kind. I'm talking about you in third person, even though you're on with me, but Corrin is just such an amazing person and just really talented at what she does as a certified yoga instructor and personal trainer. And just this is why I'm excited to have Corrin on the podcast, because Corrin truly does live by example when it comes to really creating wellness abundance in her life.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I'm so happy to be here, and it's fun to look back, and I can't believe it's been 7 years that we've known each other, and I feel grateful to know you and to have connected on that way with fitness and wellness. And I think it's wonderful what you're doing too, with your own business and everything. So thank you very much for those kind things that you said about me.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you. Thank you for the compliment. So let's just start out with if you just want to share a little bit about yourself and how you got into the health and fitness space.
Sure. So to kind of understand the why I got into health and wellness and yoga and personal training, I kind of start back from my childhood. So I had an amazing childhood. I was always an active person. I did lots of things growing up, like gymnastics and ballet. I did musical theater and marching band. And, but I kind of was doing those things, never really thinking, I was doing it for fun, sort of. And it wasn't really until college that I started putting together that, like, how I moved my body affects my mental state. And so while I was growing up, I also really suffered, starting in like middle school all the way like to the beginning of college. I suffered from migraines. And anyone who's had a migraine or suffers from them knows like how excruciating they are, how debilitating they are. I would always be sent home from school, and it was like a 24-hour thing that I wouldn't feel better for 24 hours. And I also had really bad eczema. I was born with eczema. So like really bad skin rashes, redness, irritation, itching all the time. So those main things stand out like in my childhood, migraines and eczema. So by the time and I also should say, I was especially growing up, a very stressed individual, really stressed, really anxious. Looking back, I really see that more clearly than ever now. I was so anxious, and it makes me sad sometimes to think about like how stressed that girl was. Um, but so fast forward to college. Again, really stressed out. I always got really good grades and everything, but I like put so much pressure on myself. So I started going to exercise classes that my school offered, and I primarily went to Zumba and yoga. I love Zumba because you just get to let loose, and a good instructor is always like, you don't have to get the steps right, just have fun. And it was a way to kind of unwind and de-stress and move your body. And then I also would go to yoga, and yoga for me was another level. I don't know. There was something about the classes that I took. I think I took a Tuesday and Thursday class, so 2 times a week. I was taking those classes, and I had a wonderful instructor, Lisa, who I learned a lot through her. I could just tell, and this at this point, not knowing much about yoga, I could just tell that she knew what she was doing. She moved the class. She had the class, and she sequenced the class in a way that was safe. And without knowing too many details, I was like, yeah, she's doing a really good job. And after I had been going to yoga for a while, I was like, I would love to teach someday, because the way that the classes made me feel was just so, in the midst of so much like stress in school, that hour, 2 hours a week would kind of be my like safe space to kind of just be. And I left those classes feeling so calm and just like I could conquer anything that I had to do. And I just felt like the stillness of my mind. And I just, Shavasana is, if any one of you guys have ever taken any yoga class, you have Shavasana at the end, which is corpse pose. And that's the pose where you're just kind of lying there on your mat, still letting the body like sink into the mat. And it's just a moment to kind of just be, to not think about anything else going on. And then the instructor brings you out of that pose, and then the class is done, you're back into the world. And that slice of Shavasana, that slice of the class was why I think I wanted to teach yoga. I personally would leave the class feeling so good. Like it's hard to describe. And I knew at the end of college, I was like, I don't know what my future looks like, but I really want to be able to share that feeling with other people. So I graduated college in 2012. From that point, I did a lot of other things, but I ended up getting my yoga certification through YogaWorks in 2015. And if you're not familiar with YogaWorks, it is a chain yoga studio. There was one located about 15 minutes away from where I went to college. And when I took the training, it is, I think, something that people probably don't know about yoga training is that it's intense. The program I did was 6 months, and it was every other weekend for a whole weekend. Saturday and Sunday, all of Saturday, all of Sunday, every other weekend for 6 months. And not only do you learn the philosophy of yoga, which, to be honest, everything we did was so interesting, but my main focus is I wanted to teach. So I wanted to learn how to properly sequence a class. the anatomy. There's a huge anatomy component in it. And I find the body and the mind fascinating. So, and I also love school in general. I'm such a nerd. I'm like, ooh, we get to study. We get to learn things. So that was really fun. I also should mention in college, I think I mentioned this towards the beginning, but in college, I really discovered how just movement in general makes how the positive impact it had on my mind. So I think I grew up sort of moving, like when I got to be a teenager, maybe beginning of college, I was kind of moving for because I wanted to look a certain way. And there was sort of a revelation maybe towards the end of college and especially after my yoga teacher training where I wasn't moving to look a certain way anymore. I was moving to feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me changed everything. And so 2015, I graduated from the yoga teacher training and I started teaching at a nearby gym. And I remember being so nervous. But you teach one class and then you teach another and it becomes second nature to you. And it became something that I fell in love with and I was so passionate about helping other people feel calm and feel confident and more importantly, feel like themselves. And because oftentimes it was just like it was for me, like it was an hour out of someone's day where they felt safe, where they felt supported. And ideally, it was always great. Ideally, I would help them if they were suffering from any like back pain or any tightness or anything. Yoga is great for opening the hip flexors or to ease low back pain. But it was just, I loved doing it. And I was working part-time as a yoga instructor. And I've been teaching now for going on 8 years. And in that time, I also became certified to personal train. So one of the gyms I was teaching yoga at, I also was really just kind of knew the staff there. And I had a couple of members and including my family too, say, hey, have you ever thought about personal training? You seem like you'd be good at it. You love people and you love like helping people in that way. And so I got a little bit a push to do that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. So in 2019, I became certified through NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, to personal train. And I was really proud of myself. I also think that people should know that the NASM, at least I can only speak for the NASM test. It's thorough. You really have to understand anatomy, and there's some things that were really hard for me, and it took a while to study. And so I was really happy to have passed. And I started personal training. So I've been personal training for the last 4 years, starting in the gym where I was also teaching yoga. But then the pandemic sort of changed things and I kind of went online. I started training online and teaching yoga online. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was teaching yoga for one of the studios I was working at, but unfortunately they closed their doors. And then I really started doing my own yoga teaching. As a lot of people have discovered, you can do anything online.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yes.
It's
Yes.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the great things I think that the pandemic taught us is to
Yeah.
really be solution oriented too with what you're doing and utilizing the technology that we have available
Oh
to us
yeah.
during
And
situations like that, like the pandemic.
yeah, definitely. And I just felt grateful that I could bring kind of my business online. That was the goal for me. I knew I wanted to get experience training and teaching yoga in a gym setting or like in a studio setting. And for training, I had about a year and a half under my belt before I kind of have now am doing like online things for myself. Um, and but for yoga, and I go back and forth between thinking like, oh, purely online training and teaching is great versus in person. There's something about the quality of training a client in person that I do miss. And I do miss teaching yoga in person. And I look forward to going back to doing that
Mhm.
because just you connect with people better. Um, yeah. So that's kind of that was just a lot, but that's me in a nutshell. That's kind of my why. And yeah, I just love people. I think it comes down to I love people and I
Mhm.
love helping people feel calm and less anxious and connect to their mind and body.
Wow, your story is amazing and very inspiring. And there's so much
Oh,
to take from your story. So what I first want
thank
to
you.
say is, um, yes, getting a personal training certification is hard.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. Yeah,
and people say, oh, personal trainers are so expensive. You know, maybe not when you go to it when you hire them through
from
a
a gym.
gym, but more
Yeah.
private trainers like I do, and I know you do also, Corrin.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good reason for that because of the intense training. Like I went through my certifications through ACE. I was choosing
Oh, that's
between,
an amazing program too.
yes.
Same quality, same
Hmm.
level. I've taken a course through ACE too, and I want to say like ACE is also thorough and a good organization.
Yeah, when I was doing my research, when I was choosing this which certification I wanted to go through, it was between NASM and ACE. And ACE just
Same.
happened to be a little bit less of a financial investment. I think
Hmm.
that's what I remember. But from the research I've done and what I've heard is that they're pretty comparable in regards
Yes.
to content and what you learn. And it is hard. Like
Oh yeah, I
I
made
like,
flashcards. I had to make flashcards.
yeah,
I don't not everyone would do this, but like I am reading the book and I'm also taking notes and oh my gosh, so many flashcards. But that's how I work. That's how I learn.
me too. That's exactly what I did. I was getting up at 5 a.m. to study before going to work because,
Oh
at that time I still had a
wow.
full-time job and
Mhm.
we had so much going on within that 6 month period when I was
Yeah,
studying. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so stressed. And I was so relieved when I passed it. I was like, oh my
me
gosh,
too.
yes.
I
Um,
remember being so nervous taking it because I had heard that not I mean I forget what the percentage and what the rate was, but that it was fairly common to not pass on your
mhm.
first try. But I remember finishing like the last question, walking to the front, and then they printed out they printed out a sheet of paper, and no matter what they told you, just take the paper and leave. So and then you weren't really supposed to talk to anyone. I remember seeing the pass on it and I was like half surprised in a way, but because it was really challenging. Some of the questions, like specifically like about body movement and oh, you just get anxious thinking about it.
I know,
Uh,
me too.
I remember going into the bathroom nearby, going into a stall and doing like a happy dance. And I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. And
That's
then I just
awesome.
like casually, nonchalantly walked it back out like nothing had happened.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. I
Oh,
love that story. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah,
oh yeah, no
yes.
problem.
So just for those of you out there, I'm not saying like put us up on a pedestal or anything, but there's a reason why
No.
we charge the rates we do, because it's a lot of training. And I know for you, Corinne, and for me, I'm always keeping up on my continuing education credits, which is mandatory. But
Hmm. Yes.
even in between, I'm like you where I love
Yeah.
learning too. I
Oh,
actually
that's
liked going to school.
I did too. I'm one of those my husband is like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, you're so crazy." What?
Yeah, exactly. I know. I'm like, no, I love it. I'm in the middle
Yeah.
of doing a women's strength training certification right now online, and I can't
Oh,
wait this
that's so
weekend to just
cool.
really be able to spend like hours
Yeah.
this weekend, multiple hours in a row working on it. But
Oh,
anyways,
I feel that too. I'm currently recertifying, so I'm doing NASM's behavior change specialization. It's really interesting. Yeah. And I'm like, ooh,
Cool.
yes, I get to take more notes. Yeah, I get to use my highlighter. Woo!
Yeah. Oh, the highlighter. Yes. I don't know how many highlighters I went through during that
Oh, yeah.
certification.
Nice.
But yeah. Well, I want to kind of just talk a little bit more about, because you mentioned that you were a very stressed child.
Hmm.
And I think that this is something important and something that we don't really talk about too often because I was like that too.
Really?
I was a very anxious child. Yes. I'm the
Mm,
youngest of three, and
okay.
I don't know, that may have had something to do with it, but I remember always being very anxious, very cautious with everything. I'm
Hmm.
definitely more of a risk taker in my life than I feel like maybe my siblings are.
Hmm.
But that has also come with age and just
Okay.
experience and everything. But, anyways, but I want
Yeah.
to go back to like, because I think this is also really a really great topic for parents too,
Hmm.
who whose kids are anxious all the time,
Sure. Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and how yoga and movement can benefit from it. Because you mentioned that, um, you know, that you recognized in college, like when you were
Yeah.
going into college, you thought I want to work out and I want to move my body because of the
Hmm.
looks. I want to look a
Yeah.
certain way.
Oh, definitely.
And so many women also, I guess I'm kind of bouncing around here, but
No,
so
that's
many
okay.
women like, oh, I want to look lean, I want to be skinny, I want to
Yeah.
fat, you know, I want to fit into my skinny jeans or my jeans in
Hmm.
college or high school or whatever. And
Yeah.
you having that revelation uh, of focusing more on how it makes you feel.
Yeah. I think it takes a long time. It took me a long time to get to that point. Um, I don't know. We live in a world now more than ever where we have we have pictures of everything and everyone all the time. And I don't think that we're supposed to be able to process all that all the time. And we, with social media being huge and being everywhere, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, so much is out there. And I'm grateful to be at a point where I can know this about myself, that movement, I move to feel a certain way. Like mental fitness for me is just as important as physical fitness. And I think it's sad because there are a lot of women and young girls, teenagers that are growing up in this world just they have Instagram at their fingertips all like 24/7 on their phones. Everyone has phones these days. And without even realizing it, I'm pretty sure, and they've done studies, numerous studies on this, of how like scrolling and seeing images of women and body types and what you're supposed to look like. Um, I did air quotes there. If you guys aren't
Yes.
watching a video, I did air quotes. What you're
Yes.
supposed to
Yeah.
look like.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
Because I realized I did air quotes and yeah, they won't see it. Uh, yeah, so I think young women just I think it's overwhelming. Maybe they don't know this, but I think subconsciously it gets to them. Oh, I'm supposed to look like this. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not thin enough. It's been an issue for women, I think, um, forever, but especially
Mhm.
more now than ever, just because we do have social media at our fingertips. And I kind of worry about what it does to teenagers and what it's going to be like for them the rest of their life, if they can't hope if they can't get to a point where they recognize they are beautiful in their own body, and uh, if they just hopefully have the realization like I did, that moving I to move to feel a certain way, not to look a certain way. But it is easier said than done. I think we all have bad days, right, where we don't feel good about ourselves in some way. But I think I'm grateful for like right now that I move to feel a certain way. I love yoga. It connects me to my mind and body. And I kind of have the philosophy of just sort of doing what feels best for me and my body. So some days, that looks like running 6 miles. In 2019, I did my first ever half marathon, and it was so powerful. I know this sounds so cliche, but I really think you can do anything you put your mind to, because I was like, okay, I'm going to train for this half marathon. And I did, and I finished it, and I ran the whole thing. But my two goals were to finish it, one, and to run the whole way. And I did that. And I know I can do hard things. I know we all can do hard things. At the same time, it's okay to rest. It's okay if you have a day where you just stretch for 5 minutes. Every day can be different. I mean, week to week can be different. That's kind of how I feel about movement now. It's like, move your body every day, definitely. But do it in a way that feels authentic to you. If you feel like because some days I feel like running, okay, I'll go out and run a couple miles. But the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just not feeling it. Like, I'm going to go on a walk. Or all I can do today is just do some gentle yoga stretches. Or maybe another week I'm like, yeah, I feel good. I'm going to do a strength workout. And then the next day I'm going to go like run for 4 or 5 miles. So that's kind of where I'm at. And with my clients too, I don't really count calories with them. I really focus on the feelings associated with moving their bodies, and just kind of setting goals and getting into habits, and holding them accountable, and being that person, that cheerleader, kind of that support that they need. Yeah.
Everything you just said is, I believe, really
Oh,
like in alignment with, I feel, what our bodies want us to do too,
mm,
and what our genes
yeah,
want us to do, because if you think about it, like our ancestors from tens of thousands and millions of years ago, how did they live their life? They weren't like, okay, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning, I'm going to do this strength workout. And then the next day, I'm going to
yeah,
go for a long run. And then, they woke up and they did whatever they felt like doing. They had to
mhm,
survive, they had to get food, hunt animals for food, gather the
right. Which was exercise and movement in itself.
in itself. They had to build shelters and all this
Hmm.
stuff. And we've kind of lost sight of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything that you just said, I'm a big believer that that's exactly what our bodies want. Our bodies don't want to be forced into doing a
Hmm.
workout that it doesn't
Totally.
actually want to do.
Yeah. And I think the key is l- listening to your body. That is the hardest part, because we oftentimes push past that. We push past the point of, we hear the little voice like, I'm actually like legit tired right now. And, for whatever reason, women, like, I'm on my period today, first day of my period, like this really, I'm really, I don't feel good. I'm cramping, but I want to get outside and I think I'm going to walk. No, I'm not going to do that strength workout that I thought I was going to do. That's just not going to feel good for me right now. So oftentimes we have these little voices that are like, I'm really too tired for that. And so acknowledging it and listening to that. But oftentimes, and in our crazy fitness society world, it's like, no, just push past that. Like, pain is gain. And how about resting is just as productive and important?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah. So I think there is something to be said for feeling good and doing a great and strength-based workout when you feel good. But if you don't, listen to your body and let go of the judgment that you think the world will place on you, or you will place on yourself, and just
Mhm.
rest or do something more gentle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I through my training, because I had the whole mindset before I got into the whole paleo primal, like slow life down world.
Oh,
Before
yeah,
I went
yeah.
through my health coaching training, and it was all like, I gotta, because I was training for a half marathon, my first half marathon, when I met
Oh,
Scott, and he
Oh,
he got me into this whole focus on eating whole foods, which I was doing
mhm.
mostly, but I cut out a lot of the processed foods and I tweaked my training schedule too. It wasn't
Okay.
I was more focused on I had a subscription to Runner's World. So
Okay,
Runner's
nice.
World teaches you they
Yes.
have some really great information in there.
Mhm.
However, it also teaches you like you have to stick to this strict training schedule. You have to
Sure.
get these
Yeah.
endurance runs in all the time. You have to do this, you have to do that.
Mhm.
And then what I learned from Scott was no, actually you don't have to do that and you could still perform really well in an endurance event
Mhm.
without having to log like hundreds
Like
of
so many
miles.
miles a day, or just never
Right.
taking a rest break for your body.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And recovery is such a huge part of someone's fitness routine.
Oh, for sure.
It's
Yeah.
And so, real quick, a couple weeks ago during one of my group coaching sessions, the topic of the week was movement and exercise.
Hmm.
And so I brought up the idea of being consistently inconsistent
Hmm.
with
Okay.
your exercise routine. And they just kind of looked at me like sideways, like, what?
Consistently inconsistent. So some days you do your workout and other days you just kind of take it off, or
Yep.
is that what you mean by that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you don't have to, you can still move your body every day because I
Hmm.
agree with you that that's super important. Move your body in one way or another, but
Sure.
don't focus more on how you're feeling
Yeah, totally.
and
Oh,
how your
I would
body
have,
feels. If you're
if you had said
tired,
that to me in the group, if I was in the group, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense to me.
yeah. Yeah, and that was what almost everyone in the group, that was their takeaway, to be consistently consistent. Because I feel like there's so
Okay.
much pressure on us too, especially as women. There's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure on us, like with our hormonal cycle. Like, oh, if you have cramps, well,
Mhm.
exercise is going to help. Yes,
Yeah.
it does. The movement helps,
Hmm.
ease that, ease
Yeah.
the cramps.
Right.
However, like people get the idea that, oh, I have to go do an intense workout,
I
but
have to go hard or it doesn't count.
or it doesn't count, or it's not going to help. And I just don't have the energy to do
Yeah,
that. And it's like really following your intuition and what your body's telling you.
definitely. I know we can get in such negative, I think, mind spirals if that with that type of thinking that you were talking about, like, oh, I don't feel great, and but I need to do, like, I have to do this hard workout. But then I feel like 9 times out of 10, that client is, or that person is going to be like, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything.
Hmm.
And then they feel bad about themselves, and it's just a whole negative spiral. But I think we should recognize when our bodies are telling us to rest or to do something more gentle, and follow through with that. And just, I think also, I think we should be proud of ourselves more often, that we should celebrate like the small things, like, hey, you know what, today I went on a walk, that's great. All movement counts. So counts, I shouldn't say counts, all movement is wonderful. Like, I don't think we should count it towards anything of just, that's why sometimes it's hard for me reading the NASM textbook. They focus so much on losing weight. And I get that's a lot of clients' goals. But for me, sometimes I feel like they write it to a point where it feels a little judgy, where
Mm,
that's all NASM or any of these exercise programs focus on, is all the examples of clients they have in the textbook are like, so and so wants to lose this weight, this much weight, and with the BMI. And it, to me, it's a little much, because I kind of come from the perspective that, like, I feel like I'm an intuitive eater, and that's sort of what
mhm.
I talk to my clients about. That I feel like no food is bad, good or bad, but food is, and that also, like, our bodies crave different forms of movement on different days, on different weeks. We can also crave different foods. I mean, there's days where I have pizza, and then I don't know, we go out or something and I have like a burger and fries. And I think a long time ago, I would have been like calculating in my head, sort of like, oh, well, I had a burger and I also had pizza. Like, so tomorrow I have to have a salad. It's like, oh my gosh, no, I don't do that anymore. And I'm really grateful for that. Nowadays, it's kind of like, you know what? My body felt like it, I was hungry for this pizza. So, piece of pizza. So I ate it. And then I also had French fries later. And then my body also craves like salads and nutrient rich foods and fruit and all that stuff, all that is good. And so I kind of come from like an intuitive eating perspective, and I guess like body positivity, also promoting movement, of course. I find that if people associate their feelings, how they feel after they move, and they really stick to their goals and routines, like the results follow. So I think
Mhm.
I have a hard time with like textbooks focusing so much about, and then that's just again society, that's social media focusing so much on losing weight and looking thin and toned and all this stuff. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, social media is definitely makes this whole creating healthy lifestyle habits so much more challenging because of the messages
I
that it
know.
sends. And they all come from, I feel like I don't want to bash on any other health and fitness professionals, but it's very much like follow your intuition with your eating
Yeah.
style as well. I am totally with you 100% on that. When people want to work with me, they'll ask me, well, are you going to make me stop eating bread? Or I really love my sweets. Is that
Mm-hmm.
okay? Like, are you going to let
Yeah.
me eat sugar? And I'm like, hey, you can eat whatever you want, whatever
Mm-hmm.
feels good to you. I will
Yeah.
just help you figure out what makes you thrive, where you're
Sure.
not just eating the cake or the
Mm-hmm.
cookies for just satisfying a craving. Like
Yeah.
sometimes that's okay, but
Mm-hmm.
really, like, why is it that you're eating that? What's
Right.
the reason behind it? Is it an
Yeah, kind of the
emotional?
behavior, yeah, the emotional, the behavioral aspect of it. What's
Right.
what's triggering that?
Yeah, what's triggering that? And then just that's all a part of learning how to be in tune with your body,
Mm-hmm.
and a part of intuitive eating. So
Yeah.
it's all fascinating to me, because like we really need to, especially as women, going back to
Mm-hmm.
women's
Yeah.
hormonal cycles. And I keep bringing this up
Yeah.
because I'm really, for me personally and professionally, diving deeper into women's hormones research because
Mm-hmm.
women, we're just not studied enough. And there's not a lot of research out there. And
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot of education, I feel like, for women out there on how to just work with your cycle, how to eat with your cycle,
Yeah.
how to work out with your cycle, how to sleep with your cycle.
Right. There's some information, but I again, like you said, I don't think there's a lot, and I'm curious to know more about that too, because I how great would it be to just know our body so well that it's like, oh, this week I'm going to focus on the, and I mean, there's enough information so you can kind of do that already, but also I don't know about the hormonal side of stuff. That's something I would look into, but just if our world, our society just kind of accepted more to just be more in tune with our bodies, or try to listen to our into our bodies and really pay attention, to be more mindful of what we put in and why, and just the whole mind body connection sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like also, uh, I just feel like the anxiety is just such an underlying issue or challenge that so many people have, but
Mm-hmm.
especially women, because there's so much pressure on women because of social media, because of
Oh yeah.
Hollywood,
Yes. Yeah.
to
uh, and
just
celebrities are so unrealistic. Their lives,
yeah,
they have a whole team of people doing their hair and makeup. They have
yeah.
personal trainers every day. It's just not real life.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And looking up to them, like there are some celebrities that I look up to,
That's true. Yeah.
But like I know Jennifer Aniston, she's one of my girl crushes. I just adore her.
Oh,
I think
she's great.
because she's real, and I just saw her or watched an interview with her, I think last year, because she's in her early 50s now.
Okay.
And she said, you know what? I don't work out a lot anymore. And part of my body is softer than it used to be. And I'm okay with
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for saying that because it's okay, especially as we age. You know, you get into your
Hmm.
40s and then women in their 50s are starting to go through menopause. But even in your
Right.
40s, at least for me, my body
Hmm.
has changed since I got in
Yeah.
to transition into my 40s. But, and
Hmm.
really just being okay with it, being okay with
Yeah.
things being a
Yeah.
little softer and not having
Yeah,
full motivation to work out because of the season that you're in your life.
totally. And I think that's a good point you make. There are different seasons of life. Like one of my seasons in the past was training for a half marathon.
Hmm.
And that season came and went. And I trained, I did it, and I haven't trained since. And that's okay. I do look forward to the day when I can do I would like to do another half marathon. I'm kind of looking at races right now, but in the meantime, I mean, sometimes I get down on myself, like, or I'm hard on myself, where it's like, oh my gosh, you just ran 3 miles or 2 miles. Like, remember when you were training and you ran, like, you would have to have this, you ran at like 4 times a week at least. But then it's like, okay, come off of that, back down. Your body's amazing. Like, I just try to come from a place of gratitude. Like, wow, I just ran 2 miles. I'm so grateful that my lungs and my heart and my hips and my feet and my head and my arms, they all work together to make me able to be able to run. And because a lot of people, there are people that aren't able to do 2 miles. Um, and I do look back, and for the listeners there, no, I was never a runner. Like, I never thought I would get into running. I had to really work up to it for my heart level and just pacing. I started just with a mile, trying to do a half a mile, then working up to a mile. And on my Instagram, while I was training, I would always share that this is hard work. I'm not just naturally a runner. This is not naturally like something I'm great at that I can just go out and run. So on my longer runs, maybe like 10, I did a 10-mile run. Like, this is this is hard for me too. I that was kind of a tangent.
That's okay.
That was all I think trying to relate to. You mentioned anxiety. And I was going to mention that something that's been really helpful for me is meditation. Um, I I've been using and been loving the the app called Calm. This is
Mm.
not an ad by any means. I just really love the app. So I've been consistently meditating for, I would say, about 3 years, 3 to 4 years. And then before that, I was meditating on and off. And what that looks like for me is just spending 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. And I usually do Calm's daily meditation, and they lead me through just breath work and just sitting in stillness. And they talk about, and they kind of teach you, like, when your mind wanders, acknowledge your thoughts and then bring it back. Um, Meditate, and that's a very simple explanation. I could do a whole other podcast on mindfulness, but I've mindfulness and mental fitness, like I talked about before, is really passionate. I'm really passionate about. It has seriously helped me with my anxiety, depression, mostly like anxiety, just being able to not be as reactive and stay calm under certain situations. And it really helps me in my everyday life as well. Just,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll have to set up another interview to talk about that because I agree with you. It could be an entire hour
Yeah,
long.
I
But
love talking about
I
mindfulness. Anyone that wants to listen.
I do too. I do too. And in my program, I start with mindset. I have a six
Okay.
video mindset course. They're short videos, but it just kind of builds
Okay.
up like your why, your vision, kind of how to set goals that are
Oh, I
appropriate for
love that.
you and acting
I
as
love
if
that.
and believing in yourself. And because it's hard. It's
Yeah.
so hard to do,
Mhm.
especially if you have had challenges with anxiety and depression at all in your life, even if you're
Mhm.
starting to overcome them, like
Yeah,
just having the mindfulness, like exercising your mind on a
totally.
daily basis, just having these tools in your toolbox just to grab at on a moment's notice is
Mhm.
incredibly important. Yeah, I just had to do that the other day. I was just in a
Really.
stressful situation and I was like,
Mm.
hey, there's nothing I can do about this right now. I'm just going to
Yeah.
take calm and breathe normally. And that's
Mhm.
it. And it got me through like this short,
I'm so
stressful
glad.
situation.
Good.
And some of the anxiety came afterwards, like thinking about it. But
Mhm.
it was just while I was in that situation, I was like, oh my gosh, like these mindfulness exercises I've been doing over the last couple decades
Mhm.
are actually paying off.
Oh, I
And
love to hear that. That's great. I
yeah,
think I imagine sometimes when people hear about mindfulness, there's still a lot of people in this world that are like, what's that? Is that for like some hippie people? And I mean, maybe that's just me thinking it, but I it's true. When you learn more about mindfulness and you see it's really just a tool to use in your daily life. Um, for me, mindfulness is not spiritual or anything. It's strictly a way to become still and present in
hmm,
and calm in the present moment. And being present is so hard. Like if you really think about
yes,
it. And we could go on, but being present, actually paying attention on purpose of what you're doing is really hard in this world
yeah,
with so many distractions. So it mindfulness meditation has been such a huge tool for me, helpful.
yeah.
But I'm glad to hear it's been for you too.
Yes, it definitely has. And yeah, so anyone with anxiety, like definitely
Mhm.
find a way to learn more about mindfulness. Reach out to Corrin,
There's
you
some
know.
great apps out there. I use Calm, but there's also Headspace. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
the
used
ones I
Calm.
know of. There, I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, I've heard of Headspace and I've used Calm before. In fact, you've
Okay.
inspired me to
Oh,
download it again.
hey.
Because this is something that I feel like everyone needs it. And I agree with you that sometimes there's a lot of people that think it's just kind of woo woo and like all
Mhm.
this hippy dippy spiritual
Yes.
stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really not. It's
Yes.
just like you said about being present in the moment. And
Totally.
if you have challenges with anxiety, especially on a daily basis.
Mhm.
For me, one little saying, that affirmation that I learned from one of my therapists years ago was just telling myself I am safe.
Mm.
Because I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling anxious, I feel like
Mhm.
my life is being threatened.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the reality is that's not true, but that's
Mhm.
just my genes, my
Mhm.
fight or flight response kicking in and
Totally.
telling me that I'm in danger. When the
Yeah.
reality is I'm not actually in danger. So really
Right.
just
Repeating that phrase is
repeating, I am
great.
safe, I am safe, I am safe really
Yeah.
helps calm me down. And that's mindful. That's one
Yes.
tool to use for mindfulness.
Oh, I love
It's
that.
not the
I love
hippy dippy stuff. It's
no,
like,
it's
I'm safe
truly
right now.
yeah, it's tools, it's not just phrases, it's just being able to recognize how you're feeling and having space in between how you're feeling to how you react. And meditation and mindfulness for me is completely separate from my own faith. So
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are like, wait, I, yeah, I just try to tell people like mindfulness is secular and it's like very much like these are things that I can do to become present again in my mind. Breathing, like if I'm breathing a certain way, there's different breathing exercises and different kind of phrases you can repeat. I love what you said there. One of my favorites is right now it's like this. So I you can
Mm.
have a lot of things going on and and for me personally the past couple of years have been crazy. or on a day that's not going so great. Like, I don't know, maybe your car tire blew out. And then also you were late to your appointment because of that. And then you're just feeling anxious in general. Well, it's not always going to be like that, but in this moment, you feel like it. But the phrase right now, it's like this is just a reminder that, like, yeah, right now it's like this. It kind of sucks, but it doesn't mean like forever it's going to be like this. So it's all
Mm.
temporary. So that's something I like to come back to.
Right now it's like this. I love that.
Yeah. I think that was one of my meditations on calm that I learned that from maybe last year or something. And then I don't
Mhm.
know, it stuck with me and I use it all the time when I need to come back and just kind of be like, okay, feel really anxious. It's kind of bad right now, but it's only right now that it's like this, not forever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Yeah, because oftentimes we lose sight of the fact that our situation that's causing us anxiety
Hmm.
is just temporary.
Yeah.
Because we're so deep in it that it's like
Hmm.
this feels
Yeah.
so incredibly real. And oh my gosh, is the rest of my life going to be like this?
Yep. It feels like, right. It truly feels like in that moment, oh my gosh, it's never going to end like this. Like it's really going to be this sad and depressing and anxiety provoking forever. But if you take a step back, take a few breaths, yeah, it's not going
Yeah.
to.
And I feel like that's important to this is a really great reason to work with like a health and fitness coach like
Hmm.
you or myself, even though we're not therapists and we can't
Right.
practice therapy,
Right.
that's part of our role as a coach for you, with you is to help guide you through these situations and help kind of give you these tools.
Yeah, definitely. I like to approach my clients in kind of a holistic way. And if they were interested, I could incorporate some mindfulness techniques into not necessarily their training, but more so like something that they could take home and work on
Hmm.
to help overall with their anxiety and stress. I think it's all connected.
Yes. Yeah. It's all connected. It's interesting
Yeah.
too, because I have some of my clients who during a coaching session, they'll be like, they have a stressful situation, like
Hmm.
say at work. They're
Sure.
having an issue with a project at work or with a coworker or their boss or something, and they're like, "Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I just need to like this is stressing me out, but I know we're talking about my food and fitness." It's like, well, hold on. If this is something that you need to talk through right now and that you want help finding a solution with, let's talk about
Hmm.
it because our
Yeah.
our work life, our personal life, our health and wellness life, those are all intertwined. They're all
Right.
connected. So
Yeah.
one affects the other indirectly.
Completely. Yeah. And if you want to be, I mean, I don't know about the phrase like your best self, because I think how you are is your best self just day to day. But if you wanted to feel a little bit more and less anxious, like you do have to look at all aspects of your life if you're trying to make changes. So if I'm training someone, just like, here's your exercise program, let's train, that has to kind of go back home too. There's going to be changes that
Mhm.
they have to make back home, and it's all connected.
Yeah, it is. It is. And yeah,
But,
you brought up like your best self or I'm living my
mhm.
best life. I'm kind of on the fence with those phrases.
Same.
Um,
And okay, one thing I really don't like, one phrase I really don't like is new year, new me. I'm like, how about new year, same me, I'm still trying to do the best I can.
yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great one. New Year, say me. I'm just trying to do the
Hmm.
best I can. I love that.
Just
I also, last year, I utilized New Year enhanced you or New
okay.
Year empowered you or something like that.
I like
Something to
empowered. That's
where,
cool.
because we're just kind of, we're doing the best we can. And I actually learned this from years ago, Mary Kay mentor. We're all doing the best we can at any given time. And
That's
that
true.
phrase just totally stuck with me because sometimes I feel like, especially going back to the whole anxiety issue, is when I'm
Mm.
anxious and I'm having like an emotional breakdown or an anxiety attack, I'm just so, not only am I having anxiety over the situation, but I'm
Mm.
also like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be a leader in the health and fitness world. I'm an entrepreneur,
Mm.
and I have to live by example for my clients. And what am I doing? And it's like,
Yeah.
but then I have to remind myself I'm doing the best I can
Yeah.
with where I'm at right now in this specific situation. Sometimes
Mm.
letting all those emotions out and crying is the best thing you can do at the time.
Oh yeah. I think so you bring up a point that I think even like a couple years ago on my social media account, I would try to kind of curate my photos a certain way and write the best thing. Nowadays, like with my fitness Instagram, I honestly try to portray my authentic self on there. So I post like what I'm going through. Um, I try to have because it's my fitness page, I try to have it focus on my my fitness, like what I'm working on. I talk about like what I'm doing to train clients, but I also talk a lot about mindfulness and then also kind of like what I'm going through. And it's not perfect. It's not perfectly curated. It's not like quote unquote like what an Instagram influencer would do, but I find that there's so much out there, like we were talking about, that makes people feel bad about themselves. And
Mhm.
I wanted to use my platform to show authenticity about here's a girl, she's working in the fitness industry, but I wanted my brand is sort of like, I don't know my brand, but more so like what I'm trying to portray is like movement is medicine. Just try to move every day, and in whatever way feels authentic to your body. Take care of your mental health as well as your physical health. That is equally as important. And I I just try to share what I'm going through in myself. Yeah, I think is I forget what the point was, what you were talking about, but I feel like I tried to relate to it.
Yeah, so we were talking about like just I shared the quote from my Mary Kay mentor, like we're all doing the best we
Yes.
can at any given time, and talk about
Yeah.
like, when I'm
Hmm.
having really bad anxiety, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should be a leader and I shouldn't be
That's
acting
that
like
I'm
this.
in.
And but the
I
reality
should
is
be a
like
leader. Yeah.
it's okay for me to
Yes.
be like this.
I think what I just shared was kind of like because in the past I felt like
Yeah.
I should look and
Yep.
do certain things on my Instagram, like my platforms where I
Hmm.
talk
Yeah.
about what I'm doing. And nowadays it's like, no, being a leader looks like try like relating to people because I'm human and showing my human
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, I know Scott and I would get a lot of like, and sometimes we still do get this, but with coworkers where we used to work with your
Hmm.
husband, is
Yeah.
you guys are the perfect couple, and you guys just you're eating your big salads every day, and you guys are working out. It's like, please, come
Yeah,
on.
it's like
We're not even
it's
close. This is not even
yeah.
close to perfectionism.
No one's perfect. No one is perfect, and I try to show that a lot on my Instagram too. That's mainly the platform I'm posting right now. Um, I just and I'm not like in a fake way. Like this is what I'm going through. For example, um, and we could get on a whole discussion on this, but I recently got diagnosed with alopecia areata, which is hair loss. And without going into too much detail, because that would again it would be a whole new another podcast. I've been trying to share that on my Instagram too, kind of trying to be vulnerable about that. So I have a whole hair health section on my Instagram, as well as like my fitness stuff and mindfulness and yoga and all that. But I felt like that was important because that is what I'm struggling with currently. So I felt like I wanted to share that and to kind of help with my healing process. I figured I'd talk about it on
Hmm.
there. So being I think it's actually harder to be a wellness and fitness professional and actually be authentic because we are every day we see things, whether you don't have, I mean maybe you don't have social media, but like in movies, especially movies, TV shows, billboards, you see like ripped people, and this is what someone who's healthy, someone who's fit, someone who's toned should look like. This is what I should look like. But why don't we just let go of that? And I think it's even harder as a wellness fitness professional to show your true self and to show what you're struggling with, that and that we're human and we can still want to be helping people be healthy, but we, at the end of the day, we are human and we have struggles too, and that we can share with our clients, that we can share with other people we might want to help motivate too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's yeah, I'm with you where over the years since I've really like grown my business and really
mhm,
just put myself out there to, you know, in the health and fitness world as someone as a leader in this industry is
mhm,
to it took me a while to I was like you where I wasn't like curating not so much on social media, but I was trying really
mhm.
hard to just live by example in
Sure.
all areas. And
Yeah.
like you, it took a while for me to be okay with like, you know what, I need to be more authentic
Yeah.
and put
Not having
myself,
everything be perfect
yes, and
because
not,
that's not life.
it's not life, it's not realistic. And I feel like for me personally, when I'm looking up to someone like a mentor, whether it be someone I don't even know, like from a
Mhm,
business perspective, you know, like Marie Forleo is a big influence
mhm.
for me in the entrepreneurial
Okay.
world. I don't know her personally,
Sure.
but I
Yeah.
have gone through one of her programs. I listened to her podcast and everything, and she's definitely an inspiration to me. But I love hearing her stories
Mhm.
about about her challenges.
Yeah.
And
See, and I feel
those,
like,
yeah, those are the professionals that I'm going to gravitate towards, and I'm
right.
going to want to, you know, listen to and be mentored by.
Totally. Yeah. And I was going to say that your clients coming to you, I'm like 99% sure they probably are coming to you because they also just like you as a human being and as a person, and you're relatable to them. And I think you have to have that good rapport in order to, I would say, have a successful training program session with them and
Mhm.
relationship with them. So that's key too.
Yes, and that's one thing also that when you were talking, sharing your story at the beginning, that I thought of, oh, we should like kind of touch on this a little bit. But
Yeah.
really, when you're looking for a health and fitness coach, whether it be just simply health coaching, where you want
Hmm.
to just create healthy lifestyle habits that work for you, that are sustainable for you, or you
Yeah.
want to do some personal training, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Look for a coach that you really truly connect with
Hmm.
and
Definitely.
that you can relate to and that has the experience, is passionate about what they do.
Right.
And this is why I like having a conversation with someone before I sign them
Hmm.
on as a client, because I
Hmm.
want them to get to know me and I want to make sure I'm the right coach for them. And I don't
Yeah.
know, like, what are your thoughts on that? How do you bring on a new client?
Um, so when I was in a gym setting, it was kind of, you sort of network within the gym, you meet new members, and also you schedule, and the gym kind of schedules appointments for new people to meet with you. Excuse me. But so that's the gym setting. But now currently, and I'm sort of in the process where I just went through a move and I've kind of put some training on pause. But essentially, I and I love my clients for this. It was word of mouth. Like I started training
Mm-hmm.
one client, and then she referred me to a friend of hers that wanted to get training. And so I started training her. And it's like I guess through networking, through knowing people already who trust you. And I also worked with my next door neighbor for a while. And she, just through talking and not pressuring her at all in any way, she reached out to me. And so it's really, I know it's like old fashioned maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could go like the internet route of finding clients and that kind of thing and reaching out. But it really is my personal connection and then outward from there. And training one client, and if they really like you, that can go far, because then they have like, oh, my sister would love to train with you, or my best friend is looking for a trainer. I think, let me give you her number. And so that's kind of honestly how it's happened for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, pretty much same here.
Yeah.
Like my first client was someone from where I
So
used
that,
to work with your husband.
right.
And he came to me, he approached me. He
Hmm.
was part of the fitness camp and then needed help with nutrition and came to me. And I feel like that's the best, and it's the most authentic
Yeah.
relationship that you could have, because like
Hmm.
they're coming to you for you because they know
Right.
you and they've heard great things about Corrin. Corrin's really great.
Yes.
She's really personable. And you
Sure.
definitely have um, a unique skill of really knowing how to connect with someone on an individual
Oh,
basis.
thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. I really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
of course, because it's absolutely 100% the truth. And
Mm,
yeah,
thank
and so
you.
really, yeah, you're welcome. And so just really find someone who you connect with on a personal level, whether it
Yeah.
be Corinne or me or someone else.
Yeah.
There's so many trainers out there. There's so many health coaches out there these days, and
Hmm.
really just take the time to get to know them and make sure you align with their philosophy. But anyways, I just wanted to
For
throw that out
sure.
there because
Yeah.
I feel like it's something that's overlooked.
Yeah. The personal, like, rapport building and making sure you want to have a
Just
good sense about the person that you're about to train with. I think that is huge because,
yeah,
and I'm sure they've done studies on this, but I think if you start with someone you like, and instead of kind of, now working out at gyms is fine, but like if you know someone who you connect with more outside a gym setting, and you're going to be more likely to stick with training with them if you connect with them more.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Well, cool. Well, is there anything else before we wrap up? I know we've been chatting for a while. So is there anything
Oh my
else that you'd like
gosh.
to share, like in regards to anything, anything in regards to health and fitness?
Um, I think, I guess it's always important to celebrate moving. I think we don't do that as much. We just kind of maybe we go on a walk and we don't even think about it. But like, I think we should have more moments where we celebrate movement. So it becomes a little bit less pressured by society to do.
Mm,
And I think ultimately at the end of the day, and this is what I try to stress a lot on my Instagram platform, it's easier said than done most days, but we need to be kinder to ourselves. So be kind to yourself, what in all aspects of life. And I think especially when it comes to health and wellness, what you eat, how you move your body. Um, if you have a more intense workout, then the next day you don't do anything. I think we're our worst self critics, and just be kind to your mind and your body is what I
hmm.
would stress the most in all of this at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Celebrate movement and be kind to yourself. Yes, those are two things that often get overlooked. So
Yeah.
cool. So before I ask you my last question,
Okay.
where can people connect with you, Corinne?
Um, they can connect with me on my Instagram. I have a fitness Instagram. It's Corinne Fox Fitness. Wow. I should know this. Yeah, Corinne Fox Fit, and that's on Instagram. And then I also have a YouTube channel, and it's Corinne Fox Fitness on YouTube. And on YouTube, I post. I have yoga videos. I have fitness videos, short and long, or kind of whatever you would like. And yeah, it's just I really try to make my YouTube channel a place where you can feel supported, and we do celebrate movement. I give a high five. I give a virtual high five at the end of every fitness workout, and I just hope my channel, both my channel and my Instagram, Corinne Fox Fit, and Corinne Fox Fitness, it can just be a positive place for people who come there, and they can feel supported and loved. And yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I love that. So I'll make sure to put those links in the
Thank you
show
so
notes for
much.
you. Yes,
Okay.
definitely, definitely. And definitely follow Corrin and check out Corrin's YouTube channel because she does have a lot of really great videos on there. So,
Oh,
and the last question is, what do you think of when you hear wellness abundance?
wellness abundance. So I know, so I guess a synonym for abundant is plentiful, I would say. So that's where I went. Um, but like, so wellness should be available to everyone somehow. I
Mm.
think of that like no matter no matter socioeconomic status, no matter ability level, wellness should be plentiful. It should be abundant for everyone. Um, and whether that's YouTube videos that are free or paid subscriptions to things or um, people who might not have access traditionally to like technology or whatever, some certain organizations that can provide that. I don't know. I just am a huge believer that everyone should have access to health and fitness professionals and also just activities to promote wellness as well. So I guess that's what that was my thought. I don't know.
I love that answer. And I totally agree with you 100%. I truly believe that the world would be like a totally different place if
Mm,
everyone, every single person on the planet had access to, health and wellness tools, whatever it looks
yeah,
like for them. So,
I agree 100%. Oh,
yeah,
yay.
cool,
Yes, let's make
awesome.
that happen, Melissa.
Yes, yes, let's do it. Well, we're doing it.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I know it's definitely part of my mission. I would love to open like, locally wherever I am at the time, like a
Mhm.
soup kitchen with like nutrient dense food and
Yeah.
really just help people, who like the homeless
Yes.
who
Yeah.
are
May, might
maybe
not have access or even think about that as, yeah.
right, just to help them, inspire them, help them get back on their feet if they want to, if they want some help, if they're open to it and doing that. So
Mhm.
I love that answer. I think that's a great
Oh,
answer.
thank you.
Well,
And you're such a wonderful, caring person. And I think by doing this podcast, I think it's really unique. I love the idea of that you're talking to different wellness professionals and in all different areas. And I feel grateful that you've included me as one of the guests. And I really thank you so much for letting me share about me and about my fitness journey and kind of why I got into this field. And I also really appreciate it too, like from the bottom of my heart, because it reminds me um, why I do what I do, and it just and why I got into this from the beginning, why I'm
mhm.
passionate about it all, and it's really a beautiful thing to talk to someone who's so like-minded, and then all your
Mhm.
other guests too, and it's just so keep doing what you're doing, and I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Corinne. That's so sweet of you. That's so sweet. Yeah, well,
Of
we're all
course.
in this together, and we all have the same mission is to help people improve their health and
Hmm.
live, thrive in their life rather than just surviving. And
Hmm.
I can't do this alone.
Yeah, we have
No,
to work. We have to stick together for
we have,
sure.
yeah, we definitely have
Yeah.
to collaborate and focus on our own personal strengths. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Thank you for
awesome.
having
Thank
me.
you, Corinne, and we'll chat with you next time.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too. The Wellness Abundance podcast is sponsored by Wellness Abundance Coaching. At Wellness Abundance Coaching, we help women lose weight effortlessly and minimize anxiety with clarity, empowerment, and flexibility. We offer one-on-one and group health coaching, corporate wellness programs, and on-demand fitness videos. To learn more about how we can help you become the healthiest version of yourself and to schedule a time to chat with us, visit melissaking.net.